This episode is mostly slideshow with a little video at the end. This car was only driven about 7 or 8 years before it was parked, and seems to be probably about 99% original. So I want to document this very carefully to make it easier coming back together. So as we just kind of walk around the engine compartment, you can see the spark plug wires are folded back. This is the right-hand side of the engine. I got the plugs out. So back looking toward the transmission dipstick, right-hand side of the intake, you can see the air pump plumbing and the heater hoses. This is up toward the front behind the alternator. I just really want to make sure I know where everything routed and the hoses and where connections were made. You can see the ground connections there. You also could see in that previous one that there were some extra wires at the battery that the previous owner had put in for the stereo. You can see transmission and air conditioning lines going across the front. Um, Here's the left-hand side of the engine with the cables, TV cable, cruise and throttle. I do have all the belts except the air conditioning off in this case, and the mass airflow sensor has been removed, the air intake. More of the air pump plumbing down this side. It's the brake hose, brake vacuum. Again, throttle linkage as we kind of walk through this. You see the braces for the air conditioning, the fuel lines there in the front, and how they connect to the intake and come around the side of the exhaust. At this point, the fuel lines are disconnected and pulled back. You can see the air conditioning harness hanging there. There's the connector for the mass airflow sensor. A lot of corrosion from this car sitting all those years on the steel parts. This one's got some of the air pump plumbing and wiring harness routings. This is back of the plenum. You can see where some of the vacuum hoses connect. At this point, I have some of the bolts out of the runners. I'm about ready to remove the plenum. I just haven't done that quite yet. See the front hoses and the radiator hose connections there. And we stripped the alternator out of the way, and the air pump connections have been, wires have been disconnected. Those fuel lines are sticking up from having been disconnected. Here's the EGR solenoid mounted back by the distributor. Mounts on a steel bracket, bolts in. This one you can see the hoses going over to the evap. This is another view back at that EGR solenoid and the bundles of wires. And now I've got the plenum off and one side of the set of the runners, so you get a better look at the way the vacuum lines track underneath the plenum. And of course, there's the EGR solenoid off of its bracket. Connector in the middle that goes up to the bottom of the plenum, the electrical connector. Wiring harnesses coming over the top of the air pump as they've been disconnected. Alternator harness coming out to the front along the valve cover. These are the oil pressure switches at the back of the engine. Then just down the left-hand side along the steering column, all the brake lines and air pump lines and brackets. This one, the fuel pump relay has been removed from the front of the dash. Another good look at brackets. The way the power steering and air conditioning brackets go together is a little challenging to make sure everything goes the right way. So here I got it out of the car, and it's just on the engine hoist, so you can see what the engine looks like. I'm going to just kind of walk around it with some photos. The interesting piece, I guess, is that all the radiator hoses on this car that I could see had the original GM part numbers on it. It looked like he got it through 100,000 miles without replacing any hoses, or if he did, the dealer got official GM parts. So every evidence is that this was pretty original car. Again, these oil pressure switches, I was really concerned on these to make sure that they were pointed the right direction when I put things back together, and so they fit in the car. Here you get a good look at exhaust manifolds and spark plug wire routings. I was kind of concerned about exhaust manifold bolts and lock tabs, and how everything dressed with the heat shields. So we'll get down here in a minute. See, there's the water pump. I've got the air pump removed. Again, left side exhaust manifold. Then oil pressure switches, and then here's the left-hand manifold and all the bolts in order to how they came out with the correct lengths and the right spots. And then the right-hand manifold, same thing with the heat shields and all. And then we'll roll into a short video just walking around the engine. Okay, got the engine from the IROC here on the engine stand finally. So it's out, and I can start stripping it down a little bit. Get a good look here at the front, just kind of get a chance to capture things. You can see in the front that piece with the big hex on it that's in the front pulley. That was what I used to be able to turn the crank while I was trying to break it loose from all the rust and corrosion. Just want to make sure I have everything captured as good as I can to be sure that it's not too hard to put back together. I had to strip a lot of things out to get the engine out. Tuned port's really cool looking, but it sure has a lot of complexity.